A very warm and lovely welcome to Moments with Inonge, and you're watching the inspirational segment. Moments with Inonge is a platform that is dedicated to personal awareness and development. Please, guys, feel as free as possible to just drop your comments, ask your questions, even as we go through the financial literacy segment with Joel. We've got a very interesting topic for discussion, and our topic for discussion tonight, this afternoon or morning, depending where you're watching from, is set yourself free from debt. Set yourself free from debt. Just a quick roundup of our schedule on Moments with Inonge. Every Sunday we have the inspirational segment at 1 p.m. Central African Time. On Mondays, all throughout the month of March, we have the financial literacy segment. That means we don't have the motivational segment. And every Tuesday, we have the leadership segment at 19:45. We also have a free 30 minutes coaching labeled The History of Your Future. And we have one-on-one as well as group coaching. And our theme for this month of March is Understanding Will Establish Me. I hope and trust that by now you have seen the flyer that was actually posted, where we'll actually be having the practical table. And on the practical table, we're going to have a session where we discuss entrepreneurship with the radical entrepreneur Dumisani. So I hope and trust that you guys have already booked your seat at the practical table, which actually starts this Thursday. So on the practical table, we start every new week on a Thursday. So we open up subscription for that coming week every Sunday till Wednesday night. And then Thursday, we kickstart, we share the proven success strategies and practical steps. And, we just go into action and improve ourselves. So guys, in the meantime, please drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Drop a comment and let me know where you are watching from. Like I said, we have a very interesting topic for discussion, and our topic for discussion is set yourself free. Set yourself free from debt. And I will be having Joel, my great financial advisor, with me in the studio. And let us just welcome Joel to the studio. Hi, Joel.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's good to be back. Yes, last time we were here is 2 weeks ago. So it's good to be back. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. So, Joel, on today's financial literacy segment, we're actually going to be discussing set yourself free from debt. Isn't that a very interesting topic we have for our viewers today? Okay, so just to take us forward, I would love to pose a...
It's a very interesting topic. And I believe the viewers are anticipating.
I believe so too. Because either ways, one way or another, somebody somewhere, is entangled in debt or is contemplating getting into debt or is trying to get out of debt. So somewhere, somehow, there is that debt aspect, somewhere. So guys, please ensure that you drop your comments and let us know where you're watching from. So we have Juliana. Juliana says she's watching from 13 miles. Juliana, thank you so much for tuning in. And we have a comment from Precious, and Precious says, "Hi, Brother Joel." So thank you so much, guys, for those comments. Keep those comments coming. Keep
hi.
Coming. So to kickstart tonight's financial literacy segment. So guys, please bear with me when I use today, when I use tonight, or when I use this morning, because I'm trying to cater for everyone. You know, Moments with Inonge is a global platform. So we have people that are watching from the United States of America. We've got people that are watching from Asia and as well as Africa. And we all have different time zones. So these time zones that I've just mentioned in the United States, Asia, and Africa, you know, in the United States, it's actually afternoon. Here, it's evening. In Asia, China, to be specific, it's morning. So I hope and trust that you bear with me and don't go like, why does she keep on saying evening when it's afternoon? So just to get started with our topic, Joel, I have a very interesting question, and our question is, what is debt? What is debt?
Wow. Debt, I would like to put it in a simplest form. Yeah, so because what we are doing here is the financial literacy, and we want to be financial inclusion so that everyone can benefit. So the way we are going to define debt is this, the way we know it, the simplest way. Is when you owe, the money that you owe someone is debt. That money which you haven't paid back is debt in its simplest form. So that's why that's where we're going to start from. It's a simple definition.
Okay, so that's the money that is owed or due, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff right there. So now, Joel, you know, every time I hear this debt, you know, I just want to find out from you what your take is. Is debt good or bad?
All right. A debt, I would say, is good, and at the same time, it's not good. So meaning that it's bad. Okay. So there are two perspectives to debt, depending on what you want to do. So when does the debt becomes good? We have seen companies, for instance, what they usually say that debt usually makes them to grow faster. Okay, it helps them to grow faster in it, but it has also some consequences, especially if you have you have failed to pay it back. So meaning that when you have failed to pay back, the owners of that money may not come and forgive you. They may come and get this, you know, usually you pledge something like a collateral, and that is what is bad about it, all right? Meaning that you have this family that have taken so much time to accumulate wealth. Maybe that wealth was inherited, but all of a sudden, in a split of a second, debt holders come and get whatever you worked for. So that's when it becomes bad. And when you have contracted debt, just as we even learned from the Bible, to say that the one who borrows is a slave to the lender. All right.
True.
So you know how it is when you are a slave to somebody. It means that you can do literally anything that you wants to him wants you to do, and against your will. So you become so indebted. Everything about you is about debt. And we have seen in situations where sometimes you even start failing to answer your own phone call. A phone comes, you start running away from it. And that is really very bad. And a lot of people are already entangled in debt as we speak, and they don't have that inner peace. So what we also can add is that debt would rob you that peace that you have been enjoying. So then on the other side, it's a balanced way thing. Debt usually works well to those who are in business. It works well. All right. I worked for an organization that had built the huge company out of debt. And out of that debt, in 9 years, that debt was supposed to be paid in 12 years. in 9 years, they were able to pay it back. And what they did was, meaning that that property was theirs. Then after some few years, they were able to sell it more than the amount of money they constructed it. So that was the advantage of debt. Those who are well positioned, they are able to grow faster with debt. But you as an individual, so as we are speaking now, we're not speaking to companies per se. We are speaking to individuals, all right? We are right now we are talking to someone who works in the government, somebody who is doing a small cantemba somewhere. We are talking about somebody who works in the private sector. So when we talk about debt, we are speaking to you. We won't concentrate on the companies. But when it comes to you, would you, if I were you, I would avoid debt at all costs. Yes, sir.
My mic was actually muted. Okay, great. That's really awesome. You know, I liked one thing that you actually said when it comes to debt. You quoted that scripture that is actually coming from the book of Proverbs 22 and verse 7, you know, where it says, you know, that the borrower is actually slave. Sorry, the lender. Is it? No, the borrower is actually slave to the lender.
Yes.
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 Yeah. And you know, one thing that I've come to realize over time is, you know, one of the causes that
I don't have an answer for that.
One of the causes that you know, causes friendships to actually break down is debt. I don't know what you can comment about that, because many are the times that you don't have money and then you go to your friend and say, boy, in Pasco Kalitu something, I'll give you back at the end of the week.
Exactly.
Or even close relatives. And then you find that at that stipulated time when they say they're actually going to pay back, they don't pay back. And you begin to have wrangles around that place. What can you say about, you know, lending to a friend or family? I don't know.
You're right, Inonge. Debt actually has robbed these relationships that a lot of people were enjoying. Be it in families, be it friends. You find that somebody were best friends, but they are no longer best friends because of debt. The debt will make you start running away from someone. All right. So the moment you start running away from someone, you are now creating that gap. All right. And you kill friendship there. So many things will be spoken against you, which maybe you may not be. Like, for instance, someone will even say, no, you're a crook. Okay. All those comes because of getting debt. Apart from that, that is a debt that comes from people. There are also debt that comes from institutions. All right. There are these money lenders. You find that if you fail to pay that debt, they will come to your place and disturb whatever peace you are enjoying. And we have seen also it has even led to divorces. People have been separated because this one is saying, you never told me that you are owing. And maybe they come and get something very big, maybe it's your car. So you find that that aspect has separated a lot of relationship. So you are right about that, Nonge.
To mute my mic. A quick question, Joel. What leads one to actually acquire debt?
There are a lot of aspects or reasons that leads to people to acquire debt. Usually, the first thing that comes to my mind is a quick fix. Okay, so if someone wants to fix something, like for instance, you have a pressure coming from somewhere, be it maybe you're the school for your children, they are demanding for money. You are going to go to the lenders so that you can have that quick fix. All right. So other people, they usually use debt in order to they want to look wealthy. Okay. When they get the money, they'll buy this, maybe it's a fancy car, they will change their places and so on. So they want to look wealthy. All right. That would do, they would go and contract a debt and start paying slowly. So that feeling. Then there's other people, you find that maybe you grow up in a well-to-do family, and something happened, maybe you lose a job, they would go and get a debt so that they can maintain their status. All right. And those are some of the reasons people usually rush for debts.
I think I concur with you on that one, where people actually go to get debt for a quick fix. All the points that you've given, I concur with them. But I think many times we have gone through and even witnessed a situation where you'll be getting paid on the 21st. So you begin to say, you know what, I'm actually broke, but I have some money coming in on the 21st. So let me just quickly ask for a little something, and then whenever I get my pay, I'm gonna pay back. I'm gonna pay back. So usually,
and the other part, you find that this is what it's like you are charging the future. All right. What I mean, like charging the future, you are taking whatever your obligation you need to pay now and take it to the future. What usually comes in your mind is that you feel to say as if you're not going to meet it, but eventually that future comes. You would tell somebody to say, today is what? Today is 22nd, and you are getting paid on the month end, like the 30th, and get something to say, I'm about to get paid. So that one would affect your expenditure for the month of April. All right. So what is going to happen is that you are going to continue getting a fix from debts. All right. And when you get used to get a fix from debts, you are going to have the situation that this debt didn't come off from you. But what it does, it will keep on growing and growing. We have seen people now, you find that when you check their pay slip, what is there is literally nothing. It is because they've continued contracting debt, and they've continued finding solutions from debt. All right. Last week, in the past discussion, we discussed about savings. All right. What we are saying is that find a way of fixing from savings, and we even advise a lot of people, which we are going to check and which we are going to find out if that has started happening, that of having an emergency fund. An emergency fund will help you to be able to run away from a quick fix.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So, we talked about quick fixes, and you also touched on, somebody actually going into debt so that they may look good. So most of the times, you also find that a reason why somebody may go into debt is maybe because they actually got a mortgage. So, what is your view on a mortgage?
Well, okay, mortgages, these are their loans. They are long-term loans that usually people acquire to build or buy houses. Okay, and the mortgages have given an opportunity for people to own a house or to either build or buy a house. So mortgages are very good, all right? But what are we saying? Discussion, we want to be set free, all right? So now I'll pose a question. If you look at most of the mortgages, I know of a lot of mortgages that are being offered on the Zambian market by these largest mortgage issuing institutions. They usually range from 12 years, maybe to 30 years. Just imagine you paying debt for 30 years. I wouldn't be comfortable with that. Yeah,
I
I
too.
don't be comfortable with that every time, the whole lot of your life. Because, for
Mm,
instance, at what age are you contracting that debt? Maybe you're already 30, meaning that you are going to have your last payment when you are 60. Me, I wouldn't do
mm-hmm.
that. So, in
Yeah.
terms of mortgages, if you can, what we say, if you can, find another way of building or buying a house than having to pay over a long period of time. And if there is a way, for instance, if there are some mortgages that would be less than 10 years, maybe those can be options, but not the whole of your life. That is not good life because you're going to leave that debt to your children. And when you look at the house, for how long can a house last? Right? When you talk about 30 years, that's a lifetime of a house in a
Yes.
better condition. Because after that, it will start developing cracks. You have to start redoing it over again. So, what was the purpose of you denying yourself that freedom? So, the best way which you can do if you have a mortgage that is 6 years, 5 years, and maybe less than 10 years, that's what you can go for, but not a mortgage that would take you long to repay. And besides, your life is never going to be the same all the time. Uh, you are enjoying maybe a good job, and when you do some calculations, you find that I'm able to pay. Maybe they're asking for about 3,000 per month, or maybe they're asking for about 4,000 or 5,000. Now the question is that are you going to afford paying that for the rest of your lives? And are you going to live to forever? The answer, you may not live forever. What about those who are going to remain? Are they going to manage? And we have seen these houses, these odd
Mm,
places we used to go, those odd mayadi. And you find that rentals that are being paid now, they are so minimal. The new places are the ones which are fetching good rentals, but those old places, they are no longer fetching the way they used to be. So, meaning that you have to pay everything that you receive from that rental income, and you have
mm.
to add something that you earn. So, that is a slavery that we find in it, which is prescribed in the Bible. You become a slave.
So many important notes that I was actually jotting down from there. Especially when you say, for instance, you get a mortgage for like 30 years. Usually, what happens is at the point of getting that mortgage, you are able to pay because your pay is good. But boom, like the way we are actually in COVID, a lot of people have been declared
Yeah,
redundant from their places of
yes,
work. So then what really happens? And you see, it's quite heartbreaking to see somebody's house repossessed by the bank because they could not go on with the mortgage, and yet they've spent so much, in these past years, sacrificing from their salary just in order for them to be paying that mortgage. So I guess your take is as good as my take, and
yes.
that says if
It's,
a
it's,
mortgage
it's a
is not.
sorry situation in Onge to be found in those situations where
Mm,
they repossess your properties and so on. And we have witnessed a lot of a few neighbors. One of the neighbors, it was even on news, committed suicide because of the bank coming to get, because they don't mess around. They'll come and get. And those loans will continue accumulating if you don't service them. So, all in all, we will need just to have this knowledge. You need to have this knowledge before you decide to do anything.
Okay. So another question for you, and just before I bring this question onto the screen, please, guys, those that are watching from Moments with Inonge Facebook channel, those that are watching from the YouTube channel, those that are watching from JAIM Investments, please do drop your comments, drop your questions, drop your contributions. We are actually here for you. We are actually here to serve you. So in as much as I am getting some enlightenment from Joel, I would also love to hear from you guys. What's your take? What's
Exactly.
your opinion? Because I believe Moments with Inonge and JM Investment is all about, getting a handful, of information that will actually change our lives when we actually apply it. So please feel free to drop your questions, drop your comments, drop your contributions. So my next question, Joel, is why should one set himself or herself free from debt?
All right, that's a good question, Inonge, and I've liked the question. Yeah, it's important to set yourself free from debt. Um, in a situation like, for instance, let's take for instance the workers, you have the benefits of getting the full salary. All right. And when you say, if your company tells you to say you're going to get a 5,000 kwacha, it is going to be a 5,000 kwacha. And you don't get into a situation where it keeps on being deducted. And you'll be able to budget, all right? And what is very important is that you take charge of your finances. There's no way you can take charge of your finances if you owe people, because they are the ones who are in charge. They will tell you when to pay, you'll be the last, all right? When you receive the money, the debt holders get their part first, and whatever remains, that's what you are going to use. So you are not in charge of your finances. So you need to be debt free in order to be in charge of your finances. What I mean when you say in charge of your finances, for instance, you want to invest part of your savings, you can't do that. You have to service the debt first, all right? And you find that now a lot of situations starts deciding for you. You are now going to change maybe from where your children go to school and maybe take them somewhere else, because the debt is detecting what you are supposed to do. You are not free, all right? So you can't use your intuition, you can't use your creativity. You are no longer, all those are packed. So the debt take charge, and the debt is usually brutal, all right? So meaning that everything you are going to do is out of fear. You are not going to do everything free. So you need to set yourself out of debt. It is very important. And it's also good for your health. And a lot of people, they are suffering from depressions. The depression is engulfing them because of debt. And set yourself, be free, be like a child. You know, a growing child is usually a very free person, because there's no child that is indebted, that has borrowed or whatever. I have never seen a child, a 10-year, who is telling me to say, I owe this person. No, that's why they're able to play the way they want to play. They don't owe it to anyone. They don't have an explanation, because, you know, sometimes when you owe someone, even when you want to eat well, you have to explain to that person, right? Say that person will tell you to say, I saw you get with a food troll in the shop, right? Then you said, no, that one I just somebody just gave me something, or I was just given, and so on. You owe an explanation every time to your lenders. But look at a child. A child is free to do whatever they want to do, and because they don't owe it to anyone. They would dress the way they want. They would even walk barefooted. They don't owe it to anyone. So this is the situation that even you as an adult, you need to live in. And even the Lord Jesus has also given an example to say that we should behave like little children. Yeah. So this is how we should not owe anyone. And here, when we say owing, we are not just talking about people who lend us or those financial institutions. We are also looking at the bills. You have the water bills, these other bills, the rates, the rents, all those, when you don't pay, they become debts. And when sometimes you find that whatever you earn in a month, when you compare it to debt, and sometimes debt may be more, and that it brings a lot of worries. You stop thinking the way you are supposed to think. Every time you are thinking about debt, it robs a lot of peace. You may not even be eating. So we need to be free from it. There are a lot of ways which we need to apply. So it is what I'm saying, that it is important. You need to free from yourself from it. Take stock of the debt that you have and move away from there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, very brilliant points there. You know, I couldn't stand it even as we were in the studio just to pick up my pen and actually write. And one thing that I really like, Joel, is the point that you brought up that we actually didn't, or that we actually overlook, you know, as being debt, which is accumulated bills. You know,
Yes.
many times we just think of debt as, you know, owing somebody, and not looking at it as, you know, the accumulation of bills. So I just want to thank you specifically for bringing up that one, because I think we tend to overlook it, you know, many times we do. So Joel, I
Yeah.
have a question. And that question is, how can you pay off your debt and become debt free?
All right. You really need to pay off your debts, because if you don't, and you already owe people, meaning that what we are discussing here may not work for you, unfortunately. All right. So you need to devise a plan. The first thing you need to know, when you owe numerous people, a lot of people, sometimes you forget. Your mind will always tell you, will always tune you to forget the people you owe. It happens. And especially when you have the money. When you have the money, the mind will fight you, trying to make you forget everyone you owe. And that's what usually makes people accumulate more debt. All right? Because if you fail to pay that, others will be charging interest. Okay, and you'll be accumulating more because of what goes on in our minds. So you need to have a plan, a debt payment plan. So the debt payment plan goes like this. You need to have calculations of all the debts, and you arrange the debts. Okay, you start with the highest. So you can have two methods of doing that. The first one is that you arrange the debts with the highest and to the lowest. Then what will happen is that if all the debts, there's nothing, you are not being threatened and so on, it starts maybe with the smallest debts. You start paying the smallest ones. And why should you start with the smallest one? It will always motivate you. Every time you get a pen and cross, this one, I no longer owe this one. So that one will motivate you. So you start with the small, then you are going to remain with the biggest one and start fighting. That's the one way. The other method that you can do, if some of the debts that you have, they accumulate interest, okay? So you look at the debt that has the highest interest rates, okay? So and start attacking that one, because when you finish paying that one, even the interest that will be charging for the remaining ones will be lower, and the accumulation level will reduce. So you start with that one which is accumulating the highest interest, and it's very common, like I've mentioned. People are getting the debt from different sources. You can get from the bank, you can get from the microfinance. Microfinances usually charge the highest interest, so attack that debt. Then you can also, apart from that, there are other details that you may need to look at. Maybe which one is threatening you. Then you solve the most noise person, okay? Because that person is the one who is going to make you to rob you your little freedom that you're remaining with. So you would attack it that way. So then But there is also another way. Like if you have those two methods, what you need now is the intensity. All right, the intensity to attack the debt. Um,
Mm.
this intensity is unlike let's imagine with some when we are talking about these things, we need to imagine a lot of other things. Um,
Yeah.
if me, I like watching animals. All right, like I
Mm-hmm.
would watch how the lions attack maybe some buffalo and whatever. But I'm interested in the those fast running animals, and when they have seen say it's an impala, they will be organizing themselves before they can actually chase. Okay, maybe they will
Mm.
hide, trying to get close, and when they are rare, they are very near, they will have that power start. Okay, so that is the intensity that you need to attack the debt. Okay, so you attack the debt not casually, attack it with that intensity. So only
Mhm.
when you start doing that, you are going to see that after a short period of time, you are free. It's not a cheap thing to be free. You really need to
Yeah.
work hard on it and become
Mm.
free, so that if you are not free, meaning that everything, you are not going to do anything. You can't even do a business properly because you are not free. So
Mm.
attack the debt. Let the debt come out of your line. So I think that's how you can the simplest way you can attack debt.
I really like what you have said, looking at it from two angles, looking at it from the
Yes.
angle where you start with the highest on your list, going to the lowest, and then start,
Yeah.
paying your lowest because, like it really makes you feel good, it motivates you,
Yes.
and it keeps you going when you keep ticking off those people that you are
Yes.
actually owing. And then also when it comes to high interest rates, because at the end of the day, if the debt keeps accumulating interest, that means you're getting into more debt. So if you're not
Mm.
paying off the debt that is actually accumulating high interest rates, that means you're not really doing much because you are still incurring more debt by not
Yes.
actually using that debt. I like that, Joe. Thank you so, so
Yes.
much.
Yeah. Yeah.
um a quick question again. I'm full of quick questions. Um, how to manage your debt? How to manage your debt?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, how to manage the debt? You are already in the situation where
Mm,
you have it already. Okay,
mm,
there's no way out. You made that decision to have the
mm,
debt, and you are in the situation. Um, when we want to understand this, let's also get the feeling of it. Okay, in a situation where you have debt already, and I've seen it. Even a lot of even viewers, you have seen it in say in a place of work. There I've
mhm,
seen the where somebody on top, the bosses, they
mhm,
get less money than the juniors, and why? Because maybe they're already in debt, and you find that the lifestyles of juniors, they look um, uh, more wealthier than their bosses, and it frustrates them because they made that mistake a long time ago. They
mm,
have to come out from there. So how can we manage debt? How can if you are in that situation, how can you
mhm,
manage your debt? The other situation is maybe a business person. You thought something would work out. You went to get a debt, and you can't manage to pay. So how can you manage your debt? You're already in that situation. That's what we are talking about here. Okay.
yeah.
So the first one, you need to know your income. That's the first one. You need to know how much is your income in a month and in a year. All right.
Wow.
So then, when you know what your income is, you also need to know your expenses. How much are your expenses? So now you need to balance your formula. All right.
Mhm,
you need to balance your formula that your income minus your expenses should equal to your pay. All right? You should
Sorry, I
not
think.
be your income. All right? Okay, your income should, when you look at your income there, for instance, those who are working, what they are getting as a pay, and those who are in business, what they are allocating to themselves. Okay, in business, you don't get everything that you have in the business. There's an amount of money that you allocate to yourself. Okay, so that amount of money that you allocate to yourself, when you remove the amount for expenses, it should be equal to, you remove the amount for expense, it should not be, the expenses should not be more than your income. Okay, so now what's going to happen is that when you are at that situation, that is a situation where we are talking about debt management. Okay,
Yes.
that is the situation. Now you will start managing your debt. You can't manage your debt in a situation where your expenses are more than your income. It means that that debt, one, you are not attacking it, it will just be accumulating.
Okay.
All right. If you've already spent and more than your income, you're already in debt. That's what we are talking about. So now, when you have that balance, you'll be able to start managing your debt. How? You start, either you reduce your expenses and increase your income. How do you increase your income? Don't rely on one source of income. You should have other small streams of income. Small may it be, it is a stream. Even if you are somebody who gets a huge amount of money, but then you want to add another source of income, be it selling of fritters, it's a source of income, as long as there's something that is coming in. Meaning that it is going to have something on top that is going to help you to attack the debt. Then find ways of reducing the expenses. We discussed in the past of how you can reduce expenses. List the number of expenses. Start asking yourself, can I do away with this? All right. Can I live if I don't have this? All right. Do I need it? Is it a need or is it a want? So you evaluate all your expenses and cancel some so that you can use them to pay debt. So that's how you manage. Then manage the debt that is coming in and manage the debt that is, ensure that the debt is reducing and there are no, or only a little debt should be coming in. So in the simplest way, that's what we can do to manage the debt that we already have.
I think that's so that's so and very enlightening. So at this point, Joe, even before we go to the comments, if one is already entangled in debt and seems to have no way out, what is the best advice that you can actually give that person?
Okay, yeah, situations differs. Okay, people who are already entangled in debt, you find that either they have stopped working, maybe their businesses, like the way we are in the situation of COVID, their businesses are not doing fine. Okay, so there are a lot of ways that we can be helped to at least we can help those people. The first one, you can see the financial advisor, because the financial advisor, what is going to do is that it's going to look at the situation that you are in, and the solutions or alternative that are viable to you. Okay, we are usually surrounded with alternative, but sometimes we may not see them. Okay, so the financial advisor can sit with you, yes, and share ideas. You need to be open to him, and they may lead you from the point that you are in, and ensure that you are out of debt completely. So if you are already in debt, that is not the end of the road for you. You can have a way out always.
Okay. Nice one, Joel. Nice one, Joel, and thank you so much. So, for those
All right.
that are currently entangled in debt and you seem to have no way out, I like the advice that Joel actually gave when he said, see a financial advisor. Joel also happens to be a very good financial advisor, coming from JN Investment. So, if you're entangled in debt, I really recommend that you do see Joel. And
Yeah.
Joel, one other question. I was almost gonna say one quick question, and then I'm full of these quick questions. Being a coach, we ask too many questions, so questions
Yes.
always flow out so easily. Another question that I would have for you is it wise to clear debt with debt?
No, it's not wise to clear debt with debt, but there are situations that have made it has made sense in some situations, but that is the a clever way of doing it. Okay, it's like creative accounting. Okay, trying to use the clever way. So you can clear bad. Let me not say bad debt, harsh debts. Okay,
Mhm.
with good debts. All right. One time I managed to. I was with somebody who was running a business, a factory, manufacturing factory. So what he showed me was that there was he had this uh, what do we call uh, he was owing the bank the overdraft. Yes, he had this overdraft that he was being charged about 35,000 kwacha interest per month, just
Mm,
having this amount of money which is fixed. Like take for instance, you've got a 300,000 that you owe a bank,
mhm,
and
mm,
for you to have that 300,000 with you, he was paying about 35,000 kwacha every month. So I asked him to say why was he doing this. He was saying no, this is an overdraft, meaning that it was a situation where he didn't have money. The bank allowed him to use more than the money that he had, and it
yeah.
was 300,000, and they were. But he got in a situation where he had the sales coming in, but he had a lot of commitments, and he was not
Mhm,
paying. All he was paying is the 35,000 kwacha interest, and that amount of money remained like that for a long time. So I asked him to say, look at what this 35,000 kwacha can do if you do away with this 300,000. So
mhm,
the first advice that I was able to give him was to say, let's go, you talk to the bank and convert this overdraft into a loan. All right. So instead of paying the 35,000 kwacha, he started paying something like it was about a 15 or a 14,000 kwacha. So he was able to save half of that. So that is what usually happen in those situations. When you talk to someone can have a different idea. So that
yeah.
yes, that's how it works.
Mm, okay. So very interesting stuff right there. Joe, at this point, I just want to say a big thank you for availing yourself and sharing your vast wisdom in financial literacy with the audience of Moments with Inonge on Facebook and YouTube, as well as JAIM Investment. So very quickly, I think I will just acknowledge everybody that has taken time to be part and parcel of 2 nights, 2 days, this afternoon's financial literacy segment, because they are what makes us be here. They are why we are actually live on air. This is not just for me and you, but this is for the people that we are actually called to serve. So we have a comment from Brian, and Brian says he's watching from Chalala. Hillview. Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you for dropping that comment. And we had a question from Caroline that says, how can one get out of debt? Caroline, I do believe that Joel has, answer that question. But if you're not satisfied with the answer that he's given, kindly just drop a question, your question again, in specifically attributing which part was not clear or which part was actually clear. And we have a comment from Mwangala. Mwangala says she's watching from Chalala, and she says it's a very educative topic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming online and dropping that comment. We have a comment from Pastor Sam, and Pastor Sam says, just joined in. Thank you so much for making our time. Pastor Sam, watching us all the way from Livingston. Thank you so much. And we have a comment from Mike Milupi, and Mike Milupi says, interesting topic, watching from Sulawesi. Mr. Mike, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for dropping that comment. And we have another comment from Violet, and Violet says, watching from the Copper Belt. Violet, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, baby sis. We really, really appreciate. So, Mr. Mike Milupi says, send Joel's number for more consultations. So the catch is this. Joel has a Facebook page on Facebook, obviously. Joel has a page on Facebook known as JM Investments. Please, guys, I would urge everyone that is going to watch, this video, because I know some are going to watch the recorded video, and everyone that is watching, to follow JM Investments. It's a very good platform where you can actually, learn so much about investment, learn so much about, financial literacy, and just a lot to do with the economy. However, I would say you can actually go into JM Investment and inbox him, and he'll be able to send his number to you, or you can actually inbox me and I'll be able to give you his number. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't hurt, to just release your business line, Joel, so that people could actually check on you. Yeah, 09.
Okay, my line is 0979
Okay.
054 531. 0979 054 531.
Okay. So we have the number there. That's 0979 05 4531. 0979 05 4531. So guys, I just want to give you a piece of advice for everybody that is entangled in debt. And this advice, I quote unquote, is from Joel. He says, if you're entangled in debt and looking for a way to come out, please ensure that you actually see a financial advisor. Because one, it is your judgment. It is your judgment that got you into getting into that debt. And if your judgment got you into getting into that debt, I don't think it's pretty much wise to keep relying on your judgment. I guess sometimes the way we look at a problem, when it's somebody else looking at it, he would actually, or she would look at it from another angle. So even when you're going to seek this advice from financial advisors, I really, really do request that you are open-minded, even as you, request this consultations. Yeah. So guys, we've come to the end of tonight's financial literacy segment, and tomorrow we'll be having our leadership segment at 7:45 p.m. Central African Time. And guys, please be reminded that subscription for the practical table is ongoing. And at the practical table, we'll actually be sharing the table with Dumisani, the radical entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're that person that is actually working, I would urge and encourage you to actually join the practical table, because it's able to accommodate you that is working, that has got a busy schedule, in the sense that you can be part and parcel of the live sessions. If you can't make it, there is a link, a private link that is sent to you to enable you watch, to enable you catch up. So you have to remember, guys, that you can have the knowledge, but knowledge only will not produce results. It's knowledge plus actions. That's what gets the results, out. So please, guys, thank you so much for allowing me and Joel on this financial literacy segment to come and invade your space with wisdom nuggets that will actually ensure that you have freedom, because debt robs you of freedom. But we've come to you with good news that will liberate you from that debt. Joel, any closing remarks as we wrap up the segment?
Yeah, thanks for everyone who has participated and those who have been watching. So let us be meeting here every Monday. We discuss these things. Yeah, sometimes I have seen a lot of interest that is coming from to watch discussions or live programs on Facebook. But the unfortunate thing that others, they have just followed those the added. We'll see here people like on Facebook, someone starts calling you, hey, call your friends, but what is going to tell you may not be beneficial to you. So stick to these programs so that you have something, you can learn something. Next week in Nonge, there's also these topics they are put in order. Next week, we are going to also to look at budgeting, and we are going to focus on personal budgeting, right? So if you look at this arrangement, yes, these arrangements, we started with the savings. First of all, you have to save. Today we've discussed about debts, anything that is holding away from your money. Now we are going to look at budgeting, because budgeting is going to help you save, and at the same time is going to help you run away from debt.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much, and looking forward to budgeting.
Exactly.
We are really
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and those who wants to continue discussing with me, you have the number. Let's discuss. We can discuss on WhatsApp, and we can also even actual phones. Let's hear how you can be helped. We are always there. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay, guys, please ensure that you stay tuned for the leadership segment tomorrow at 7:45 p.m. Central African time. We love you, and we thank you for actually being part and parcel, for liking and sharing and tagging your friends to be part and parcel of tonight's segment. Thank you so much.